Dan Graziano, NFL reporter, on his expectations for the Browns in 2023. This is from ESPN's KJM.
If Deshaun Watson is 2020 Deshaun Watson, then it's a dangerous team. But I don't know that we can assume that's going to happen. I mean, we can believe it's going to happen, and certainly the Browns do, but it's been a couple of years. He didn't play at all in 21, and we all know what happened last year. So I have to see it before I buy it. I think, Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator, that's not nothing. I think that's important. I think that side of the ball should be better. It was a disappointment last year, and they went out and tried to fix it. But, yeah, I think so much rides on the quarterback, and it's just such an unknown at this point. It's just been so long since we've seen him perform at a high level. We know it's inside of him. We know he can do it. But, what if he's just a little bit off from where he was, in 1920 when he was great for Houston?
And Casey, we keep talking about that. Remember, he didn't play the first 11 weeks, so that's 16 weeks because it was before it was the 17-game schedule. 11 weeks, that's 27 game weeks that he did not play. If you sit back and think about it rationally, of course he's going to be rusty. And I minimized that last year, but if you take a step back, and nobody could lay off almost 2 years and come back and look like, hey, this is what I do.
Yeah, in hindsight, 700 days between regular season games, to expect him to come out and be all world. But that being said, they were still a 500 team. He didn't play good. They were still 500 in those 6 games. To me, he's right, though. If this team's going to be dangerous, it's going to be because of Watson. He's what brings that danger element, and I get everyone who says I have to see it first. Yeah, I'm with you, But for me, I just keep looking back at are we going to believe those 6 games are who he is, or are we going to go back to the first 50 games of his career? I think that larger sample size tells a story, and you're seeing what he's doing so far in camp, and it looks on rhythm, and he looks like he's playing confidently. And I think that's what it all boils down to for him, is being out there and being confident. Being confident, your assignment. And I do think that they're going to change a few things up that they haven't done in the past. I think he's probably going to be the one calling protections. And in the past, the center's always handled that. But I think it helps get him mentally in the game. And if you're Stefanski, that's the 5 most important things. Watson has to be completely just steeped in what's going on. If that's what it takes for him to get mentally checked in, let him make the calls, because if he doesn't get this thing going, then it's not going to get to where they need it to.
Well, and that was one of the things he was really good at, his recognition and his processing of what a defense is doing. It was, when he's on, it's as good as there is. He's also the guy, he's not past his prime. He should be in the prime of his career. So that's another reason, just like we were minimizing the 700 days off, I think the people that are detracting from him are minimizing. This is a guy that's coming into the prime of his career. It's not a guy that's 32, that's 33. He is entering the prime of his career. That's why you expect him to get back to what he was.
Yeah, they're treating him like he's shop worn. This is, from a physical standpoint, he's just coming into his own. Those 700 days off, that didn't hurt his physical, it hurt his mental. And while you're talking earlier, he's a very cerebral quarterback. You could hear in his post-game press conferences when he was in Houston, his recognition of certain defenses and coverages and how to pivot. And he was a guy that could just figure things out. Even if you came out in the first quarter and gave him issues, he'd find a way to figure out by halftime or early in the second half. And he's good enough to make a difference in that short amount of time. And it's repetition. It's repetition. Mm-hmm. And just like what happened at camp last year, he started off camp, then the suspension comes down, you're not going to have him. Stefanski kind of had to pivot to Brissett and get him ready, get this offense ready. And it really wasn't able to get back on the rails when Watson came back in, because they have some things you can share, but at the end of the day, Watson has to be in control. You don't have to guide Watson. He has to be in control. And that's what he's getting worked out now. He's going to get all those reps this preseason. Not in the games, obviously. We probably won't see him more than 4 or 5 series if I had to guess. But everything in practice and all these training camps and just getting his rhythm down with these receivers and getting his confidence back. And if a player like him is playing with confidence, that's a scary proposition for defenses.
The other thing is Kevin Stefanski has to give him the freedom to do that at the line of scrimmage, and I think he will. I think Kevin Stefanski hasn't played with a quarterback that has been this elite, and I think Stefanski is smart enough to know, all right, we're riding with him. We got to give him the freedom to be good.
Yeah, it's going to have to change the way he calls plays. It's going to have to change the freedom that he gives them at the line to make checks and kind of just play with the feel of the game, the flow of the game. Because you have a player out there that can change it by himself, and that's something Stefanski has never had. He's had decent quarterbacks, guys who could get it done in a system, but this is someone who supersedes a system. It's got to flow through him.